Good morning, Year 8. This lesson we're looking at the effect of exercise on your breathing rate. So you can see that people are breathing, and it's one of the first things that doctors looked at for to see if somebody's alive. And if you sit where you are now, just place your hands on the top of your chest. Take a deep breath in and out. You should be able to notice that your breath increases the volume in your lungs. So your rib cage raises up and out. Your diaphragm flattens, your lung capacity then is larger, and that allows for all the oxygen to get in so that that can go to your cells for respiration. So we're going to look at how that can be recorded in a practical today. So when you measure fitness, the fitness of a person is based on their normal heart rate and their normal breathing rate, and how low that is. To measure your heart rate, you can place 2 fingers on your wrist and count the number of beats per minute. Or if you can't find your heart rate in your wrist, you can use your neck. If you just go from the middle of your neck slightly to one side and just sort of press on your neck and up under your chin, you should be able to feel your pulse. Ideally, it should be around 60 to 90 beats per minute. But also during exercise, as your heart rate increases, so does your oxygen intake. So after exercise, your heart rate has to return back to normal, and so does the level of oxygen. So the time taken for this to return to normal is called your recovery time, and this is a useful indicator for fitness. The fitter the person is, the faster their recovery time. Think about why that might happen. So to measure your fitness, we can recalculate your recovery times after a few simple exercise tests. Running on the spot, stepping off and off on a chair, pressing a set of bathroom scales with your arms raised. Any test that gives a need for recovery time. So for each one, you can measure your heart rate before and after the activity and at regular intervals to see how it returns to normal, how long it takes to return to normal. And you can work out the person's heart rate after that exercise. So that's one way of looking at your fitness level. Another way of looking at your fitness level is to see how you could measure the breathing rate and assess the fitness. So we're going to do an experiment. I want you to think about what will happen to your breathing rate if you put more and more effort into some exercise. And then you're going to now plan a method. Think about what your question is. What are we trying to find out? What research or observations have you made that can help you make a hypothesis? And for the hypothesis, what do you think will happen and why? The why bit is the important bit of a hypothesis. We've predicted that the breathing rate will increase or decrease the more effort you put in. So if that's what we're thinking may happen, why? And then what kind of materials do you think you need? And what kind of procedure? Remember, when you're writing a method, it's really important that you try and do it step by step. What would you do? So pause the video here and have a go at planning out just a simple experiment that you could do. Okay, so depending on how well you got on in the last slide, depends on whether you would have something that looks a bit like this. Don't worry if you don't. It may be similar, it may be slightly different, but I'm sure it will be pretty much the same idea. You need to be able to count your breath firstly at what we class as rest. So if you do it for about 15 seconds, then you can work out your breathing rate in a minute. Okay, so you just can times that by 4. Ultimately, you need to make sure you get that reading at least 3 times so you can get an average. So when you're sitting patiently, quietly at rest, take a reading 15 seconds, take another reading. It's probably better to set yourself a little timer of 15 seconds, because if you try to count the seconds and the breathing rates as well at the same time, you probably get confused and you'll just end up with 15 seconds. Your breathing rate is how many breaths you take in and out in 15 seconds. Remember, one breath is an intake and an outtake. Then you're going to have a go at doing some light exercise. So just walking around maybe for 2 minutes, and then you're going to sit down and do the same again and write down the recording of what your breathing rate was. You're going to do that twice more, again, to get those 3 results so you can work out an average. Then you're going to increase the effort with the exercise. So this time, do something a little bit more. Run on the spot, star jumps, again, for the same amount of time. So we're not changing the time variable. And then you're going to sit down and work out your breathing rate again. And you're going to record that data and repeat it twice as well. So here's your opportunity to draw yourself a table so that you can record your results and to have a go at this practical. So everyone should be able to have a go at this at home, even if you're doing light exercise, or even if you get one of your parents to do the exercise and you can time them. So year 8. Hopefully you've got a results table that looks a little bit like this. If you haven't, this is just a hint to help you so that you can get to the practical. So you're going to record your results from your first, second and third try. You're going to work out the range. Okay, so what's the lowest and what's the highest value? And then you're going to work out the mean. So that's adding the 3 up and dividing it by 3. For no accident, so that's exercise when you're at rest. For light exercise, for hard exercise. Okay, and remember, you don't have to do it. You can get someone at home, your parents, carer, your brothers, your sisters, even the dog, okay, if you can record your dog breathing. It's up to you how you get the results, but see if you can get some. Now, the important thing is with that data is that you're now going to have a go at plotting your results. So think about the lessons that we did on graphs. What kind of graph would you use for this data? So think about, is it a categoric data or is it a continuous, discontinuous data? What kind of data do you have? Plot your results, and then these are the questions you need to ask from that graph. Do your results agree with your prediction? If not, explain why they're different. Why do you think that didn't happen the way you thought it was going to happen? How fit do you think you are, or the person you tested, or the animal you tested, or whoever? How do you know? Using the expression recovery time, how do you know how fit you are? And what kind of things could you do to maintain your fitness? Okay, so hopefully you've identified that as you increase the level of exercise, your breathing rate increases. This means your recovery time will slightly be longer. Not for everybody, but most people. And to maintain your fitness, you need to ensure that you eat a balanced diet, you avoid excessive alcohol, okay, which shouldn't be a problem at your age. You're not smoking, again, shouldn't be a problem at your age, and you're getting regular exercise, okay? These are the 4 main things, and that goes for all people. Exercise can actually be hazardous if it's done inappropriately as well. So if you lift weights that are too heavy, or you do prolonged running on hard surfaces without appropriate shoes. So think about that, because how do you think poor exercise could have caused injury to muscles and joints? A lot of people I know that have run the marathon in London have said that afterwards they've had damage to their muscles because of the time. So have a think about those things. And to end this lesson today then, I just want you to think about how you can get data. So Tessa is going on a run. All I want you to do is copy the little table and write down how her body will change. What will go up, what will stay the same, and what will go down. So her pulse rate, her breathing rate, her temperature. What kind of cells in the drawing there, and what's its function? I'm going to give you a little bit of time to have a think about that. Below there is a YouTube video that you can watch. It talks about pulse rate, and it gives you an opportunity to have a look at how those experiments could be done. So hopefully we've recognised from the previous slide that there will be a change in your pulse rate when you exercise, in your oxygen rate when you exercise, and in your temperature. Okay, all three are going to increase with exercise. Your pulse rate will increase because you need to get more oxygen around your body, so the blood is pumping harder. Your oxygen level will increase because respiration is happening in the cells to produce the energy you need to be able to run or do your exercise. And your temperature will increase because that allows that reaction to work at an optimum temperature. Remember, respiration is a reaction, a chemical reaction, and it needs an optimum temperature for that to occur. And the cell there that you're looking at is the red blood cell. The red blood cell is the one that combines to the oxygen, has hemoglobin in the cell, and when the oxygen combines, it becomes oxyhemoglobin, and that allows the red blood cell to travel around the body carrying that oxygen. So hopefully you've done quite well with that, and you've got a nice graph and data. Please send it to me if you want to, for me to have a look at, and if you haven't, make sure you watch the video as well. Okay, thanks, Year 8. Bye.